Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 417. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the program. Earlier tonight, I received a phone call, and it was all bad. A good friend of mine, Damien, called me to give me the news that one of our best friends growing up, one of our, core members of our crew, of our clique, had passed away. Our homie Nate, I haven't talked to in, probably 8 months or so. So it really left a bad taste in my mouth that he's now gone, and we're not going to be able to have that last conversation. It's always tough when somebody you care about, somebody you love is taken from you and there's no closure. So my suggestion is, if you have people that you care about that you haven't talked to in a while, maybe there's been a rift opened up between you, I think now's the perfect time to reach out and try and bridge those gaps. Because life's short, folks, and before you know it, it goes by and it happens, and it seems like just a minute when it's all over and done with. So, after receiving that phone call tonight, I've been beating myself up a lot today because I haven't been as proactive maybe as I should have been. Talking to my friend, somebody that I care about. And you know what? I'll take it a step further. Not just a friend, a brother. Somebody I bled with, somebody I ran the streets with, somebody I grew up with. He basically lived in my house when we were growing up. Him, his brother James, a couple of my other friends. My parents were those kind of people that were very welcoming, and they opened their doors to a lot of my friends growing up. And this isn't just like, you have friends in your life, right? And people that you're close to, and then you grow apart. This is different. This is somebody, we all shared a brotherhood. And still into our 40s, we still share that brotherhood. So it bothers me that I haven't been more proactive in reaching out to some of the people that maybe I haven't talked to in a little while, or it's been a few months. And sometimes we take it for granted that the people we care about and the people we love are always going to be around for us to reach out and have that conversation, to clarify things, or to bridge that gap, or to just say, hey, what's going on? And then when reality strikes and that's no longer a possibility, well, you start to look back and say, what could have I done differently? Should have I reached out? I should have been, and even though you shouldn't beat yourself up, that's what you end up doing. So this episode tonight is dedicated to the homie Nate Mobley and to all the rest of the East Side homies from Las Vegas. It's always DLK, boys. Always. All right, so let's get into our article. Tonight, we're going to talk about Leon Black's bitch ass and the fact that Dartmouth is trying to get rid of his name all over the building. Now, Leon Black was an alumni from Dartmouth. He graduated from there. Somebody was donated a mega amount of money to the university. And in turn, he has his name all over a bunch of these buildings. So students and alumni have gotten together and they're trying to push the university towards getting rid of Leon Black's stench around the university. Now, will it happen? Will it work? Who knows? We know that these universities are all about that cheddar. We know they're all about securing a bag, right? They're as bad as any drug dealer in the business. The way these people take money, they don't give a shit. Just look at the the New York Academy of Arts. Look at the way they conduct themselves, taking money from everybody and anybody. And these colleges are just as bad, if not worse. So we're going to go into that a little bit further, by the way. Hopefully Friday, I'm going to send Dr. Delay another email tonight, and I'm going to try and get him to come onto the program Friday so we can talk more about academia here. But it is a situation where it's obvious that there are no rules pretty much, and it's a free-for-all when it comes to people donating money to these universities and these programs at these universities. Now, will that change since the Epstein situation has occurred and it's been brought to light? You would like to think it will, but I don't have any faith in these academic institutions. In fact, I find them to be very, very much corrupt, coming in only second to the financial sector. You know, you send your children to these universities at a great cost most of the time financially to you, and they're being taught by these sorts of scumbags, and they're being people like Jeffrey Epstein are being brought around them and into their classrooms and into their lives. That needs to end, and all of the donations and money that comes into these universities should have to go through an absolutely horrendously stringent process. Because there's already way too much money in higher education that is muddying the waters and getting in the way of what the whole entire goal is here, and that's to get people educated, trained, and out into the world so that they become productive members of society. You don't become a productive member of society with $150,000 worth of student debt. So there needs to be a reckoning with all of this. The whole entire system needs to be fixed. And I think a great place to start is right smack dab in the middle of where all of this money is coming in from. Start there, be stringent, and have a process in place that weeds out the sick scumbags who are looking to buy a reputation or, like in Epstein's case, refurbish one. This article is from the Dartmouth.com. The author is Ben Fagel. I hope I'm pronouncing that, Ben. It's spelled Fagell. If I did not pronounce that correctly, Ben, I'm sorry about that. Headline: Students, alumni denounce BVAC donor Leon Black's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that's probably a great idea. And I applaud the students and the alumni, and hopefully the staff at Dartmouth that come together and try and get this going. Now, who knows if the staff will get involved, because we know the cash cow that people like Leon Black are to these scientists, to these people who are running programs like Joy Ito. So it's very hard to bite the hand that feeds you. Well, if you want to keep getting fed, that is. Upon the recent revelation that Leon Black, class of 73, paid convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein upwards of $150 million between 2012 and 2017, some students and alumni have called for the college to change the name of the Black Family Visual Arts Center. And they are well within their rights to do so. Leon Black, while not being accused of taking part in the actual abuse of these girls, let's be very clear about that, folks. Very, very clear. He is somebody who enabled Jeffrey Epstein's behavior, and he is somebody that helped Jeffrey Epstein build that reputation. And we don't know if he was involved in shady financial dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. Very possible. Lot of evidence out there, right? Circumstantial evidence, but evidence out there that would lead us to think that Epstein and Leon Black were involved in some shady financial dealings behind the scenes. And those most certainly need to be looked into. So yes, Dartmouth is well within their rights, and they should, at the very least, get together for a vote or something about removing his name off of this building. And just like Wexner should have his name removed off all the buildings at Ohio State. Black, a former Dartmouth trustee and billionaire co-founder of the private equity firm Apollo Global Management, donated $48 million in 2012 to construct BVAC, which houses the Studio, Art and Film, and Media Studies departments. Of course he did. All of these people have done the same thing. How many of them have donated to their alma maters? How many of them have started foundations? You know why? So that they can wrap themselves in these charitable givings as a shield and cloak themselves as if it's a suit of armor to defend them when they get caught inevitably engaging in malfeasance. Although an internal investigation requested by the board of Apollo found no proof that Black engaged in Epstein's criminal activities, that's pretty loaded right there and open. Criminal activities as in abusing the girls. Did they go through all of the financial statements, every single transaction? Did they have forensic accountants doing that? I highly doubt it, folks. So when they say no proof of Black's criminal activities, I will say that there was no proof that he was abusing anybody. Certainly I've seen none of that proof. But financially, well, that is a different matter entirely. Black has stated that he will step down as CEO of Apollo before July. Epstein first pled guilty to charges of sex crimes in 2008. Ruth Sir, class of 88, a founding member of the Dartmouth Community Against Gender Harassment and Sexual Violence, said that Black's relations with Epstein necessitate his name's removal from BVAC. Agreed, 100%. This is not somebody who just had a passing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein or just a business relationship. $158 million moving through seedy offshore LLCs. That warrants a deeper look. That warrants Dartmouth to take his name off of this building. And there's nothing he can do about it. If people are getting canceled in society over simple tweets, then why is somebody like Leon Black not absolutely canceled? Whatever after canceled is. Because that's what he deserves. All of these scumbags that rolled with Epstein, all of them that helped him refurbish and build his image, all of these people, if anyone deserves to be canceled, it is them. It's not that I think that Leon Black or the Black Family Foundation are themselves predators or pedophiles, but Epstein was, Sir said. And Black was engaged in some kind of financial relationships, even if it didn't directly affect the college, after the truth was known about Epstein. Well, that is exactly 100% spot on, and that's exactly what I've been saying since we've started talking about Leon Black almost a year ago. The relationship with Epstein and how intimate it was is enough for Black to be sent packing. Who wants somebody like this representing their university? Now, if you're a parent and you're sending your kid to Dartmouth, all that money it costs to go to Dartmouth, and you're going to be okay with them going into the Leon Black building every single day? Knowing that Leon Black was one of Jeffrey Epstein's top enablers? It's not going to work out well, and the university is probably going to be forced into this direction. I could see there being a serious push here, and the university having no choice but to change the name. Now, is that definitely going to occur? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I could see the scenario playing out where they do go down that road and they end up changing the name because it's too much drama, too much BS. Who needs it? And especially with the fireworks that are surely coming out in July when the Maxwell trial begins. What does she know about Leon Black? What does she know about Leon Black and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship? Dartmouth currently has no plans to rename BVAC, according to college spokesperson Diana Lawrence, since there have been no allegations that Black was involved in Epstein's unlawful acts. Now, here's the question I have. Will they feel the same way if it's proven that there was financial malfeasance between Epstein and Black? Will they remove his name from the building? Will that be enough? Now, they'll try and do whatever they can not to because they understand that Leon Black is a cash cow. And these trustees, for the most part, at all of these universities are spineless cowards. It's all about the blame game for these trustees. They don't ever want to take the blame when, even though that they're in charge, they're the bosses, right? They make these decisions. Instead, they blame everybody else. And when it comes to something like Leon Black being blackballed at the school, well, how many, millions of dollars would that take out of the pocket of all of these idiots on the board and these trustees out of their pet projects? So, like usual, it comes down to the fazools. It always comes down to the money, folks. According to Roberta Milstein, class of 1988, Dartmouth should change BVAC's name to send the message that the college intends to do better in its treatment of women. I think that's fair. I think that's fair for sure, especially if Dartmouth has some sort of reputation for women being mistreated within its walls. Now, I'm certainly no expert on the conditions of college campuses in the Ivy League when it comes to women being treated unfairly or abused. But if it's something that's occurring and Dartmouth recognizes that, then I think this is a good step, right? And furthermore, even if it's not happening, it's a good step. How about taking the lead? How about showing the rest of these universities how to conduct themselves? How about walking in there as the president or the top dog and saying, hey, look, we're going to lead by example. We're going to do the right thing here, even if it costs us millions of dollars. I know that's a pipe dream, and none of these greedy F-bags will ever do it, but wouldn't it be nice? Dartmouth does not have a good history with supporting women in general and with respect to sexual harassment and sexual assault in particular. Well, there goes my answer. As you folks know, I don't read these articles prior to us reading them together. So there's my answer about Dartmouth's history with women. Obviously not very good. So, kill two birds with one stone here, folks. Let's go, Dartmouth. Do the right thing. Be leaders. Show your students how to trailblaze. You don't take the path that's already been worn. You blaze your own path. Milstein wrote in an email interview, "The name sends the message that Dartmouth continues to ignore the most basic concerns of women, their bodily safety, and their ability to function freely in society." Sir said that changing the name would go a long way to show institutional responsibility, noting that Dartmouth has a history of darkness with the sexual assault and rape culture. So, again, Dartmouth obviously has a track record that is not very good, a track record that should be addressed, and this is a good way to start that. But they don't care. Oh, I'm sure that they have all kinds of classes at Dartmouth about studies about intersectional politics, women's studies, this, that, the other thing, and they're virtue signaling like they care. But when it comes to actually doing things and changing things within their university where they actually have the ability to do it, they do not. And it's just like the rest of these scumbag universities. None of them want to do the right thing, it seems like. A failure to change the BVAC's name also could hurt the college in the long run, Milstein added. Dartmouth should be on the right side of history with these issues, Milstein wrote. Too many times it has felt like it has been dragged kicking and screaming into the present. We still seem to be the Ivy that didn't want to go co-ed, referencing Dartmouth's status as the last Ivy League institution to remain an all-male school. All right, first of all, I don't know why any guy would want to go to an all-male school. I mean, what? My dad growing up went to an all-male high school, and I can't even imagine. Must have been just a weird concept for me. All-male schools. It's so, backdated and yesteryear-ish. Zur said that there are parallels between the decision to change Dartmouth's offensive, unofficial mascot, which used to be a caricature of a Native American, and the current debate of whether to keep BVAC's name. People didn't used to understand that the Indian symbol was a problem. Calling it an Indian symbol is probably a problem too. Wouldn't it be a Native American symbol? Sir said, "It's clear to most of us that those changes were the right thing to do. I would think that from a historical perspective, people will look back and go, yeah, it would have been better to change the name. So, whatever they think about that is, not part of our discussion here. But as far as BVAC goes, that name definitely should be changed. This dude is a absolute scumbag for his behavior with Epstein. Point blank, period. As far as the mascot of the school of Dartmouth, I think they should put it up for a vote for the student body to vote on. If the student body wants to vote on the name of the mascot being the Jello Gelatin Man, then that's fine with me. I don't care. I don't go to the school. But it should be up to the alumni and the students to decide what the name of the program is, or the name of the mascot. On the other hand, Ethan Weinstein, class of 24, said he believes there is no good reason currently to remove Black's name from BVAC. It seems innocent until proven guilty, Weinstein said. The investigation didn't bring up anything on him. I mean, the man gave a ton of money for the building, so I don't see any reason to take it off. That sounds like somebody who really doesn't know the whole story, right? When you don't know the whole story here, it's easy to say stuff like that, to act like people are overreacting in this case. Because, let's be real, in a lot of these situations that pop up, people overreact. And I don't mean situations like this. I'm talking about in the news. There's a lot of cry wolf type situations. So when people look at things and they don't go deeper into them and they just look at the surface level, they're like, oh, well, this report came out. He wasn't found of any wrongdoing. Why should his name come off of it? I bet you if you sat down with this kid, this Ethan Weinstein, and broke down the whole story for him and showed him all the different facets of it, he'd have a different take on it. And that, my friends, is a failure of the legacy media right before your eyes. Jackson Cashman, class of 21, said he is in favor of changing BVAC's name, but noted that the issue is more systemic than a name change, referring to the long list of extremely wealthy, extremely powerful people who are connected to Epstein. Hey, Jackson Cashman obviously knows what's up. Good job, Mr. Cashman. Obviously following the news, and you know that this goes a lot deeper than just some surface level BS. Cashman said if the college were to change the name, it would be like someone losing a leg and then putting a Band-Aid on it, in that it would not address the extent of Epstein's ties and the harm that they have caused. He added that the issue is sticky because the college's financial interests could be compromised by removing a high-profile donor from his namesake building, and that's what it all comes down to. I know it's uncomfortable for people to talk about and for people to think about, but it's all about the money. I don't know how many times I have to say it. In so-called elite society, the only sin is to be broke. Nicole Sellew, class of 21, said Dartmouth's original decision to accept the donation and name BVAC after the Black family is the real issue at hand, since Black was so openly involved with Epstein for so long. Nicole Sellew, very, very astute observation, young lady. Very astute. And it's the truth. None of these people are going to tell me, after how many articles have we read here, folks? 1,000 or so? That they didn't know. Give me a break. You'd have to be an absolute dunce moron not to know what was going on. And nobody's going to pitch to me that these super extremely wealthy people were morons. Stupid people who didn't have an idea of the people around them. They knew better than any of us who Jeffrey Epstein was, and they all ignored it. According to Sellew, changing the name doesn't negate any of the harm that's been caused by having BVAC be named after Black in the first place. Sellew added that Dartmouth's current stance to keep the name of BVAC is part of a trend of the college not taking action, and it's not just Dartmouth. It is all of these universities. They'll do things on the surface level like change a mascot, right? So that they can stand up and be like, hey, look at us, we're doing something, we care. Meanwhile, they're making backroom deals with Jeffrey Epstein, having him have an office on campus, and giving him access to secrets, confidential projects, and in some cases, some of your children. Things don't get changed until there is a news story, until there is a big hoopla, Selou said. The larger problem is that the school has no problem looking the other way, getting this huge donation, until it's a problem. She is 100% right, and it's nice to see that some of these college kids have an idea of what's going on here, and they understand that it's much deeper than the surface level reporting that we have gotten from the legacy media. And somebody like Leon Black, who is this powerful, this connected, who has donated so much money to the University of Dartmouth, it is almost impossible to pry the fingers of the trustees off of his pocketbook. But I commend these students and the alumni for giving it, well, the good old college try. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. Everybody who has donated to the podcast recently and in the past, thank you folks so much. All right, everybody, I will be back tomorrow morning, and we'll start this whole entire party over then. Hope you all have a fantastic night.